Okay, Algebra 1, Chapter 3, Section 7, Graphing Absolute Value. Remember, absolute value is distance to 0. Looks similar to something like this. If x equals the absolute value of -7, oh, that looks more like a parentheses. I don't want to do that. Then x equals 7 and x equals, whew, x equals -7. So it's going to go two different directions. So absolute values are actually going to look like V's because they won't be as continuous as lines are. So let's graph what's called the, why it keeps changing the colors. Let's graph what's called the parent function. And so the parent function would just be I should do this in function notation. Okay, my board's freaking out on me. Just a second. Let me clean this up, guys. Sorry about that. And so I have f of x. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. So let's just pick some coordinates. If my, just make us a little table here. Remember, f of x is y, so I can pick anything for x. Let's say -4, 0, and 4. Let's just use those. So what's the absolute value of -4? Well, that would be 4. Absolute value of 0 is just going to be 0. Absolute value of 4 is 4. So let's put those on there. We've got -4, 4, 0, 0, and then 4, 4. And so that gets us all of our absolute values. Okay, and so that's the absolute value of x. That's the parent graph. Now, since it's outside of the parentheses, let me do a little bit of erasing over here. Just like the last chapter, what do you think would happen if I add 4 to the outside of that? Again, it's not inside the absolute value bracket, so what that's going to do is that's going to move it up 4. And also vice versa, if it was a -4, it would move it down 4. So this will look something like this. Running out of a little bit of space on the graph, so can't quite make it as big. And so now let's take it to another graph, and let's see if it's inside of our original function. We're going to put that one again. So remember we had 0, 0, -4, 4, and 4, 4. Sketch that real quick. You'll probably have to hit pause here and get that sketched. So now what we're going to do is make that, not do that. Here we go. And remember our function in the last one, remember if it was inside the parentheses and it was negative, that means we actually slid it to the right 4 spaces. And so we're going to move this 4 spaces this way, 4 spaces that way, and 4 spaces this way. And so there is our new absolute value. Oh, I don't like that at all. Sorry, I was way off on that one, guys. There we go. A little bit off on that one as well. Yeah, I'm sitting here talking to myself. It's okay. There we go. That was a lot better. And so now they may actually put some on the outside to make it look like almost distributive property. So let's take a look at one. We have our parent. I've done that twice in a row. You'd think I would know. We have our parent graph. Parent just means original. Your parents were the original. Their parents were the original before that. So I'm just going to sketch this one in because we know which way it goes. Now, what if we took, I'm just going to do that every time, I guess. I'm not going to remember. Happy day. Okay, so basically, this is saying my y value is going to be 1/2 of my absolute value. So let's say my absolute value, let's make a table here real quick, just a small one. Let's use my numbers we did before, the 4, the 0, and the 4. So if I take the absolute value of 4, that's 4. If I take half of that, that's 2. Oh, let's do the negative. I'm sorry. So that's -2. Half of 0 is always going to be 0, and then this one is half of 4, which is 2. So let's take a look at what that one looks like. No, no, that's incorrect. My math is bad right there. Oh, I'm having a day, guys. I'm having a day. That's all right. It's better than not having a day. Absolute value of -4 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that was -4, 2. That's 0, 0. And that's 4, 2. So basically what it has done is it has kind of shrank its footprint. Excuse me, it's increased its footprint. It's going to go out twice as wide. So if I take half of an absolute value, it's going to increase it by a factor of 2. If I multiplied by 2, it's going to shrink it by a factor of 2. So again, it's just a little bit backwards. So that is chapter 3, section 7, graphing absolute value.